We're live! Hello, hello! Welcome back to Andy Makes Movies. This is day 46. I've been gone out of LA 46 days making my movie, and today we have a day off, my least favorite day of shooting. I hate days off. Today is December 18th, and we announced today, I don't know if you noticed, we announced two of our actors that have already shot and gone, and that is Jeffrey Donovan and Brett Gelman. It was in Deadline today. It's also Spielberg's birthday for all you filmmaker fans out there, and Paul McCartney released a new album today, and that has nothing to do with anything other than I love Paul McCartney. And he worked with Paul McCartney.
They actually just released a teaser for that.
I saw it. Somebody was showing it. I think Anthony was showing it to me, and I was like, "Oh, Russell's on there."
I don't think I've been told Anthony about that.
No, he didn't know.
Yeah.
He didn't know. So here we are. We're in the little restaurant. I'm with Russell Barnes. I am with our production designer of Surrounded. And so say hi. Say hi to our...
Hi.
This is your first time, right?
This is my first time doing YouTube live, so a little nervous, Eddie.
No, you're fine.
You're going to have to guide me through this.
We're doing fine.
But I crashed one of your prior interviews.
Oh, you did?
I got a little bit of a sense of Kevin.
With Kevin. Yeah. Great interview with Kevin Wiggins, who plays in the movie. I guess he plays Curly. Let's see. The Road Lizard episode. Best movie I've worked on so far. Oh, that's Aaron. He's one of the can't really talk about. Can't really give away certain things. So anyway, talk to our audience, people who don't know what a production designer does. What does a production designer do?
Hi. Well, generally the production designer comes on, any time between 2 months or 3 months on, and on the bigger tentpole movies, it could be, a year before the project actually starts. And the production designer's job is to take the writer's material and essentially do a little bit of a breakdown on how the look is going to be achieved in a practical sense, and then tracking that through the emotion of the script, the physical needs of the script, the actors' motives and their backgrounds, and building the world. Like, once this guy hands off the script to the director hires the production designer, and with the production designer, the DP, and the director, you sort of start to world and extrapolating and augmenting and growing this thing that's on paper and its physical life. And you're making changes and almost graphing the script to use color, light, texture, environments to just enhance what this guy is doing. So you're saying usually get hired several months to a year before. So you have several months of work prep on this? Thank you for doing that lead-in. That was good. No, there wasn't. It was there was somebody else who had started this job, but there was a complication about them coming on. And so ordinarily on a job of this nature, I would have at least 5 weeks, 8 weeks to sit down and sort of percolate ideas with you and Anthony and Max, the DP, and the costume designer. But it was a massive 3 weeks.
I was waiting.
That was good.
3 weeks?
Yeah, so I'd gotten called about this job 5 weeks before you were going to start shooting it. And they're like, we might want to bring you in, we might not. We're just going to see how it goes. And I had gone down to visit my wife in Atlanta, and she didn't contract COVID, but she was close to somebody, and so the protocols for film now are, if you have COVID, you're only out. You get downtime of a few days. Okay. But if you're close to somebody and you haven't tested positive, you get 2 weeks. You're off the show for 2 weeks, and it's because of the time it takes for COVID to actually arise.
Okay.
So anyway, long rambling story to get to the point. She had time off, 2 weeks off.
So she's also a production designer.
She is. She's my better half in every way. Elizabeth Nickel, superstar production designer. And so we had decided just to get out of town for a couple of days. And so it was Sunday. My wife had gone into a coffee shop. She was buying some tea. And she comes out and she sees me pacing outside. And lo and behold, this job called me up on a Sunday night at 6 o'clock and said, "We need you this week in New Mexico to start production designing." And so,
had you read the script?
I had, and I loved it. And I was sort of like,
I wrote it.
I was secretly hoping that this, whatever was happening on the other side with the other person who was going to come on, I was like, I hope it
Oh,
doesn't
so that's
work. I hope
true?
it
You
doesn't
really,
work.
you really wanted it?
I really fucking wanted it.
Oh,
Excuse me. Am I allowed to
no
swear?
language. Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. We're live.
I really wanted it, and my wife came out of the coffee shop, and I was on the phone
With tea, by the way.
with tea.
I got a problem with that.
With tea. And I was like, oh, they called and they need me on the ground. And we just booked an Airbnb. Like we had a 3-day Airbnb up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we're going to be hanging out. And she's like, you got to do it. She's like, you got to do it. She'd heard me talking about it.
Oh, nice.
And I was like,
Wow,
man,
it's so
it's a powerful script. And they've got a great cast. And it's just a strong, meaty script that also, could be a popcorn movie, but also just covers social issues. And so, jumped on, got on a plane within 24 hours, left my wife in the Airbnb and said,
And her tea.
Yeah, and her tea, and said goodbye. I came down and joined you guys. So, yeah, that was the skinny.
So the first thing you met with, how does it work? So you meet with the director and the DP, and you have drawings. How do you break down the script? How did you break down this particular script?
Yeah, so for the initial meeting I had was with Anthony. And so it's just Anthony, just to see if you can gel. Because, there's a lot of talented people out there, but it's like, who do you connect with and who do you gel with and who can you be in the trenches with? And on this, we were in the trenches. We were in the muddy, icy, snowy, rainy. I mean, you gotta really like the people that you're working with.
I was completely oblivious to the trenches. If people are shooting, I'm just like, I'm making a movie.
but yeah, so initially I met with Anthony, and it does the chemistry work. And once you know the chemistry works, then the process happens about you getting hired and negotiations and everything else. But when you have more time, you'll sit down and you'll have dozens of meetings where you're like just piecing the pieces together and coming up with the overall look. But
no time for dozens of meetings.
No, there was none of that. I mean, we basically jumped into it and fell straight into it. And I'll present a design book with all my pictures and looks and everything else like that. What I had on this was I had a Google document that, as I had time, I would start developing things and send it out. And with the added restrictions of COVID, we couldn't really sit down and have these long meetings as well.
Right.
So a lot of it was done remotely, where I was like, okay, check out page 4, 5, 7, and 10. I've done new ideas for that. What do you think? And so there was a lot of that happening with it. And, with 3 weeks, we were just, I was basically throwing ideas at the wall and seeing what would stick.
Right.
But I had a path in my mind for it, and it's just, we all need to get on that.
How close to your initial path did you guys stick to?
Pretty close. I actually, I heard a funny story the other day. So when I was flying down here, I was about. Yep.
Hello. Oh, we're gonna take a coffee break. Or in his case, tea.
I'm good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. How unprofessional of me.
So
what's the funny story?
Well, the funny story is I got on the plane, and there was a woman in front of me who was about to sit in the seat next to me, and she was wiping down the seat like with anti COVID spray and everything. And I was like, oh, that's a smart idea. She's like, oh, do you want me to do your seat? So she wiped my seat down as well. And then so I sat down. I was like, oh, thank you. And it ends up it was an empty plane. So the stewardess was like, hey, if anybody wants to change seats. So she sat in the seat behind me. And I was sketching some of the designs for the show.
Yeah.
Like I was doing our archway that we have and the antlers and the church and stuff. Turns out.
By the way, I stole some antlers the other day. I don't know if that's okay. There's a couple laying on the ground at the bottom. I was like, is that all right?
Yeah, we'll bill you.
Okay.
You'll get a fill in the mouth. Incidentally, this guy, it's a good thing he didn't come down in a box truck.
Oh, yeah, because
it'll be filled with props. It's just like,
I'm taking as much as I can.
You're like, can I take that? Can I take that? Is that it? So, turns out the woman behind me who wiped down my seat and was lovely, turns out that she's my set decorator.
Oh, no way.
And so she was watching me do the sketches, and that was basically what it was for this, is that I'd just do sketches if I was in a cab or on the plane or any spare time, just sketches, and I'd fire them off to Anthony. And Anthony very much wants options.
Yeah.
So it was just like sketch, napkin sketches. And
Cool.
we sort of finalized all the things as we were going. We had to start building as soon as I landed. And it was like the hero piece, which I'm not sure whether
I don't know. I'm not really sure. Okay. I mean, Anthony's put pictures of it.
All right, so there's a hero piece that shows up, and I mean,
which I've tried to get, by the way. It's all right. So there's this piece. It costs what? How much to make?
60,000 plus.
$60,000. And how heavy is it?
It's probably a couple of ton.
And it's made from steel,
foam, cement,
paint, stucco. And so the other day I go to him, I said, hey, what are we doing with this? What are we doing with this piece? Can we get it to New York? And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, well, if there's a reasonable answer, I'm serious. Right?
Yeah.
And, so we're working on that. If anybody wants to donate $10,000 for me to keep this piece, feel free.
$10,000 is the shipping cost. Actually, we're taking that out today. So you have to make a decision.
Is that true?
Today. Yeah. I think you don't want it because of its shelf life.
Oh, yeah, because it's only going to last 2 to 5 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on today.
It's going out today.
Oh,
Last I heard, you didn't want it.
I still want to go see it. I got to say goodbye. Sorry. We're having an argument live. Anyway, so go ahead. Do you have options?
Options.
Yeah.
I don't even want to. Oh, so basically, the design of it is like, on a lot of the projects I go into, everything is nailed down and before you start shooting. But this, it was just very much going with the flow.
You had to, right?
It was a lot of pun intended, sort of shooting from the hip, and
how much was our DP Max involved?
Well, Max, what Max is doing is, his time on the ground is limited as well, and it's the trio. It's the designer, the DP, and the director.
Okay.
And so everything that I'm showing Anthony is going through Max as well.
Okay.
And so it's that creative triangle of people putting in their input, and whether it's aesthetics or backstory or
color,
color, philosophy, practicality of things. Right. Everybody's putting in their 2 cents, and this is movie making for me. Just feels like it's like a potluck dinner,
right?
Where everybody could show up with turkey and you don't have any vegetables, but it's like,
oh, that sounds like my
but yeah, there's everybody's putting in their different pieces of ingredients to sort of make a soup, and
okay,
you're not 100% sure. You have an idea what the soup's going to be,
yeah,
but it goes off, and much like what you experience with your script, you start with your recipe,
right?
But it's like people are like, oh, let's add some turmeric in that. Let's put some,
right, of course.
So
it becomes very collaborative.
Exactly, and that's the thing. You can't be too attached to what you want. You can speak strongly about your ideas and what you want to do.
I mean, but even it's funny. Even Anthony, our director's got to be that way, because it's just like time. We only got 3 weeks to prep this. We only got this location or this weather or whatever it is, and everybody from the top down to the bottom has got to compromise, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just adjust. I mean, it's sometimes you're hard and fast with one idea, and I had this happen on one of the jobs that I did. We were building a large scale from scratch train yard, like literally building train cars from scratch.
Cool.
Yeah. And I had this layout, and the DP, it was like that moment in Social Network where he's like, remove the from Facebook. And
right.
The DP comes in, and we had a model, 3D model, and he's like, you know what you need to do? And he just takes his finger and slides a piece of the model across on the table.
Okay.
So that's what you need to do. And initially my ego was hurt. Like, oh, this is my design. But then I was like, oh man, you just made this so much better.
Really?
And so I think, we were talking about writing and having a little bit of detachment.
Yeah.
And I think, you go into these processes and everybody puts in their 2 cents and it makes it better, and it just boils and boils and boils and extrapolate out the good ideas.
So what was your favorite part of working on this movie? Like what did you get out of it other than, financially? Like what was the thing about this that I love doing this, or I love this part of this?
I mean, it sounds a little cliche to say it, but in this particular case, it really was the people. Like, it really was coming to work and seeing you and seeing your excitement and seeing your happiness. And then I had an art department crew on this that were unstoppable and unflappable. And the schedule changes and the weather. And, we were up at 3 a.m. in the morning melting snow. And then we'd have to prepare for snow the next day. And so we'd be laying out plastic. And so we were doing 16, 17-hour days sometimes. And it's like every morning people woke up and they'd come up and like, what's next? What's next? And so for me, it was camaraderie and getting in the trenches with people who want to make your script, and want to make Anthony's movie. And so that was the best part about it for me, was just connecting and collaborating with these people. And then the other thing was, waking up every morning, like every morning was different here. Just like, and not just the landscapes that we're going to, but even just one landscape that you'd go back to different times of the day, and you'd see the sunrise over a different part of it, or you'd see the sunset in a different part. It was just beautiful, and it makes me excited for our industry. Somebody's paying me to get up and do this, and it's that love. So, yeah.
So what's that like? We're here in COVID, right? Did you expect to work? Did you work other than this year?
So I did do the Paul McCartney job.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had COVID protocols in place for that.
Right.
And then I actually started a job developing a movie with a director, and was working remotely in upstate New York. And COVID just threw us through a tailspin. We're changing, looking at different locations, and I had to. It was mutual, but I had to step away from the project, and they asked me to come back on just recently, actually, and it was just where they wanted to shoot. They wanted to be in LA,
right?
And it's I want to fly back home occasionally, and those complications, being stuck away from home for 4 or 5 months, that made it tricky. But yeah, COVID has certainly made it challenging.
So for us, this was a short shoot.
Yes.
Right, and you're talking 4 or 5 months, and I know your wife's going on a really big.
Mm-hmm.
She's going on a big project.
Mm-hmm.
But this, how long you gone? 2 months at the most.
For this, so we had three weeks prep, and then our shoot time of 5 weeks.
Were we doing 5 weeks?
Yeah, 5-6 weeks.
So all right. So as a writer, you read the screenplay. Is there anything a writer should know? Like, is there anything like you would look at in a screenplay and go, this guy, really? He had to put this in? Like, is there stuff like that that drives you nuts?
No, not specifically when I read scripts. There's certain scripts that I read, and as a whole, I can't connect with them, and some of the scripts that I've turned down have been sort of for surface reasons, where there's nothing deeper. There's nothing deeper below to attach onto, and it's almost like paint by numbers, where it's like, we'll throw that together. I know how much that's going to cost. That'll take this much time. But I like to be challenged, and if there's not information in the script, I actually prefer that, because it makes your mind think. So if it's not outlined for me,
right?
And you get the flip side of that, where you get some scripts where it's
super detailed.
2 pages, and actually I just read a TV show where it's like 2 pages of description down to, and there's a purple cup on the table, and I'm like,
is that needed?
No, there's the conversations you have, and a lot of that stuff. Sometimes I take scripts literally, and the director will turn around and be like, just throw the script out the window, come up and show me some ideas. That we had one job I did. That it was sort of outlined that it was a camp. But I went through a whole process of, with the director, like, maybe it's a grounded ship they're living on, or maybe they're tree houses, or maybe they're this, or maybe there's that. And so there's a lot of flexibility when you first come onto the project, if you have time,
right,
to put in your own ideas and own mix. And generally, a lot of the directors that I've worked with will say, disregard what's on there. Show me your best ideas for this.
right,
And part of those best ideas is also showing restraint.
right.
and not turning it into a showpiece for
Right.
yourself.
Right.
And that's where it comes down to the breakdown of it, of analyzing the characters and starting on a practical level about what do these characters need in order to get from point A to point B. And then just building on that. And then you develop the tone and the density of the environments as well, the director and the DP as well.
So we went through a change because we got hit with snow.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, because we were shooting most of it in order, we were able to kind of accommodate it,
mm-hmm.
right? But it also changes the look of the film. Mm-hmm. And I thought in a kind of really cool way, So, but how do you guys on the fly, like, obviously you were okay with that, and there's nothing you could do, right? I mean, you guys were trying to melt snow, and, we tarped some things, you guys tarped some things. But, when you look at the overall design, how do you feel about, as this is coming in, your job being the look of the movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of your original scripts had snow.
It did. It first started with rain.
Yeah.
And they kept talking about storms coming. And then it downpoured at this one moment. And then Bobby's like, I'm not giving you rain. We can't do rain. And I was like, well, let's make it snow.
Yeah.
And we did. And the snow appears in that area, but we never see it. I mean, the way they kind of reshot, or the way they kind of shot this one sequence, that where it started to snow doesn't even exist anymore. We didn't even shoot that part, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't give away. I mean, I want to tell you guys so bad. I can't give away. But then, then the whole end of the movie, we have snow in it. So I kind of got my way.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. But it was funny that we couldn't. I don't know if it was time or budget or what. They couldn't afford.
Probably a little bit of both. I mean, to have snow coming in addition to all the other special effects elements that we needed.
Right.
It's and the maintenance on that, especially when we're dealing with sort of windy conditions, desert conditions, you're going to be refreshing that.
It would have really slowed us down.
It would have slowed us down.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think there was a magical moment that I was watching on camera, where one of our actors was leaning up against a tree, and there was snow developing on the brim, and I was just like, that is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I think that's having the flexibility and also the frenetic pace of this movie to say, we got to do something. What are we going to do? And adapt.
Yeah, adapting. That's important.
Yeah. And so I think it just added a whole new level to the movie.
I do too.
And people are going to think, oh, they got fake snow. They got fake snow.
Right.
But no, it was 3-4 inches dropping, and
But I talked about in one of these earlier vlogs that, like, how bold they were to, like, we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe we got no choice, but we're going for it, and we're gonna make this work. And it took me. I think it took me 4 days to realize there's no lights on set,
mm-hmm.
right? I mean, there was a couple of, like, night things that we didn't have a choice, but, like, these guys are shooting completely without lights, no bounce boards, none of the silks. I mean, they just use what they got. I mean, when you saw this and you started watching the footage,
mm-hmm.
I keep telling these guys, like, how incredible the footage looks.
Yeah.
And it's not just because, I did not expect, because nobody shoots like this anymore. This is like Lawrence of Arabia, man.
Yeah.
It really is, right? Like, tell them how good the footage looks.
Yeah, it's just stunning. And if anybody's seen The Revenant, just think of The Revenant and what's
but good. I was going to say, it's a joke. Think of The Revenant, but good.
But just
kidding.
That natural light and those sunrises and those sunsets, and using practical available light as well. It's it's a very sort of European way of shooting, where it's like maybe one lamp in the corner and that's your light.
Yeah.
And this was the nature's equivalent of that. But the footage is just, you just want to dive into it and just bathe in it. It's gorgeous, and probably top 3 movies that I've done as far as just the lighting, cinematography, just the beauty of it. Yeah.
And you've done 30, 40 movies?
Yeah, as a production designer, it's probably about 20, 25 projects as a production designer, and then another 15 odd, either as an art director or an art coordinator.
Cool.
So, yeah.
All right. So I know you're running out of time. So last 2 things.
Yeah.
Advice to screenwriters, like screenplays that you read, that you look through, and like what gets you, and is there an underlying, when you read something in a screenplay and you say, I understand why this movie's getting made. What is that? Is there anything you could tell us, in terms of what would help get a movie made, or what you think helps get the movie to your stage?
Well, I actually have a screenwriter friend of mine who's writing a project at the moment, and it's a horror film. And I'm just looking at, for horror film specifically, I mean, it's very much, it's more about taking away from the script. It's more about a simplicity and tapping into very simple human fears. And so I was giving him, like, looking at a film like The Babadook or something of that nature, where the idea is very simple, but the interactions of the characters with this being, it's just terrifying. And I think, it comes back to you asking about what to put into the script, and I think it's just taking it back, making it, communicating what you want for the characters, and then allowing the creative team to build on the little tidbits of information that you put in to build this world. And I think you said it as well, like, you had a vision for some of these things about how they're going to come out, and then you show up on set.
And it's like,
and I think it's just having a trust that when your movie gets to the point of being made, that you've got a creative team there whose sole goal is for each of the departments to make it the best possible movie that they can. And I can't speak for anybody else, but I live and breathe what I do. Like, I'm lying awake, I'm 24/7 thinking about it all the time. But directly to answer your question, I mean, I think it's just allowing your project to breathe a little bit, and you don't have to outline everything. You don't have to be very specific. And there's an economy when you describe some of the sets, that if you give me a little something to chew on, I'm going to be chewing on that for weeks and weeks, and then I'll come up with something.
Right.
So I'm not sure if that answered the question.
Yeah, I think very much so.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, you gave me one of my favorite moments on set, especially early on when I walked in to the first set. There was the 3 pieces that I actually described in the script. I'm like, wow, they really did it. The picture of the rose. I mean, we could say it because it doesn't give it, but there's a rose and George Washington crossing the Delaware, and then that's just a sign that says "Drat." And the first thing I did was like, "Can I have that?" All right. So then the last thing, and he gave it to me, right? Can we do it?
Yeah.
Right. And then any advice for anybody who wants to be a production designer? What's any good little advice to start?
I got a lot of advice when I was starting, and I think the key piece of advice I was given was start selling yourself 2 steps ahead of what you're doing. So when I was art coordinating, which is basically the art department, bookkeeper, secretary, like everything goes through you, all the paperwork, time cards, everything. When I was doing that, I had business cards made that said Russell Barnes, art director. And every single person I saw, I'd hand out that card and say, I'm an art director. Even though I hadn't done any art directing in the US before. I was like, I'm an art director. And this industry is all about planting seeds, and I think you can attest to this as well. I planted seeds 6 years ago that are coming back to me now. And it's time. And people think, I've had a lot of people who join my art department, come out of college, and they've studied production design. They're like, okay, cool, I'm ready to start production design. And it's like, nah, you're sweeping the floors.
Right.
Like, you're getting coffee. Like, there's a lot of competition here.
By the way, I'm trying to
I
get.
like my son.
I was like, is this like your production designer? Okay.
It's horrible. I got on location here. But yeah, I think the main thing is like just start doing it. And this is your same advice for writing. Start doing it. Start getting on projects. Start. I would recommend and not recommend it. Answer those Craigslist advertisements for people making their college.
Really?
College books. Yeah. Do everything you can, because all these little seeds that you plant will help you. They will come back, and your on-the-job knowledge will start expanding. I had a PA, an office PA, that was in our office. I was art directing, and he ended up calling me 6 years later to do a movie. He's like, I'm producing now. And I was like, good for you.
No kidding.
And it's my wife has taught me this as well, and it's be nice to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is going through their own struggle, and it doesn't matter who is on set.
That's just life advice.
Yeah, but you'll see it. You'll see it on set, and people feel entitled, and they feel like they're owed something. And it's we're all going through our own struggles. And I'd say just be nice to everybody. Start projecting where you want to be by getting your website up and doing your friends' movies and doing your friends' projects and going hungry. Like I went hungry a lot, and I was working around the clock. I was bartending to support my love of production design.
Really?
When I first started.
Okay. So just do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do.
I like the cards thing. Like, put it out there.
Yeah, just thinking about that, and I can't tell you enough that if you plant these seeds, it's not going to happen overnight, but people will start paying off, and if you're good to people, they'll come to you and circle back around.
So I said, I wrote the screenplay in 2004.
Yeah.
And here we are, sitting here together.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you.
Yeah. I'm so grateful to be working with you too, man. And
It's been a good time.
This guy on set, this was part of the joy of showing up on set, was just seeing this guy every day and seeing how excited he was. And man, I got a major something.
I know. It's like, did you do that on purpose? There we go, like that.
Well, I probably reached my time.
Yeah, we did. I know.
Anyway.
He's got to go. Thank you so much.
Oh, dude. I love you.
You too. All right. So before we go, just make sure you subscribe. I'm pointing to this thing here. Check out these other videos. Look at some links below. Do you have any links you want to send?
No. I mean, if anybody's starting off, I answer any emails that come to my website, which is russellbarnes.com. Please don't spam me.
Don't spam them.
But if anybody's looking to get in the industry, want some advice, just send some questions, and I'm always happy to answer them, because this is what this industry is all about, just helping people get up, rise up, and get where they want to be.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye. Say goodbye.